Hello, everyone. My name is Sanja Sikoparija. I'm a bioartist and a natural scientist. I focus on nutrition issues with food and food and technology and neurotech. And I will be presenting the scenario biointelligent data to you today, created via the Musée project. So, what is biointelligent data? Well, biointelligent data consists of considering the evolution of the use, value, and representation of data in our food system today, and as well, even wider in our entire environments. It questions what data will look like, what it'll feel like, what information it will contain, and what it will tell us about society in the future. As we see today already, big data has already shaped the way we view reality, how we interact with electronics and social media, how governments make decisions on policies, and financial institutions on investments. It's the undertow of all major decision making today. However, with the advent of AI, its impact is expected to grow exponentially and in ways that we can only really imagine from this perspective. In order to introduce you to the scenario, I'll first go over the narrative that forms the scenario as a whole. This will be followed by an inspection of the trends and the drivers that inspired the creation of the scenario to begin with. And finally, the elements, which are individual building blocks, which are put together to create the story of biointelligent data. In this future scenario, the food system is embodied by divergent and complex food value chains, each giving rise to a vast repository of data. Within this unfolding landscape, data economies shift from being an emerging force, which we see today, into the dominant economic sector, reshaping commerce, data, and behavior in a fundamental way. At the heart of this transformation is big data, seamlessly integrated into the food value chain. The links and overlaps between big data and the food value chain have become so pronounced that they are now practically one and the same. Imagine a reality where transitioning from individual servers, data is shared and stored on decentralized blockchain-type networks, ensuring permanency and traceability, creating data footprints throughout history. Sensing technology is used everywhere, enabling a real-time imagination and conceptualization of food, of nature, and of life, all based on the biological. This creates permanency, which lifts the idea of storing information into a different plane, creating a historical anthology and story of biological existence. Through these advancements, the trove of communicative information, knowledge, and depth of the biological body is increasingly decoded and understood. This extends beyond the ephemeral and into storage networks that simultaneously record and warehouse these experiences. In doing so, the way of conceptualizing and visualizing information and the built environment have changed drastically, and a more flexible and responsive reality where the transects between digital information and biological information have now become blurred. This scenario was inspired by in-depth research into some main trends, drivers, and signals in technology, food, and society, and 7 of these trends are presented in this slide. The first trend, data-driven economy, describes data as a pivotal resource for businesses, governments, and individuals, with its value stemming from its potential to drive insights, innovation, and informed decision-making. Personalized health needs have been around for some time and continue to dominate the health sector with wearables, health tech, AI-driven diagnostics, telemedicine, and Internet of Things reshaping healthcare and consumer expectations. Next, innovative policies include examples such as the Europe 2030 goals of carbon neutrality and Eurostat's policy initiatives to increase data reliability and resilience in the future. As a counterpoint, government-regulated data supply chains address aspects such as cloud neutrality, open source, and splinter nets, among others, to evaluate the ownership and transparency of these tools and sources of information. Next is a trend that is common among most groups, and this is trust and awareness in the food system. And the amount of trust in the food system really impacts consumer decision-making and stands to impact decisions made in the future. Finally, the last two trends address identifying and interpreting the psychological and physiological to further fine tune the personalized experience and the imperative of sustainable coexistence. The following 5 slides will discuss the main 5 elements of this future scenario. Elements are pieces which come together to bring the scenario itself to life. The first element we'll be discussing is information reality, and this refers to a fully realized data economy where every piece of data holds a tangible monetary value, reshaping the way society functions and interacts with information. Individuals, governments, and industry operate around this inherent value of data as a commodity. In this information reality element, people are not only consumers of digital services, but are also the owners of their own data. And if they choose, they can actively manage it and monetize it. Within this, data marketplaces have become the norm, and individuals can choose to sell and buy data to businesses, governments, and industries alike. In the element farm models, even smallholders and especially fishing industries are employing a large degree of automated data collection, which ranges from sensors, drones, scanning and navigation technologies, as well as decentralized satellite-based imagery that collects information locally in production, as well as environmental information like weather patterns and air quality and other ecological insights. And these are all seamlessly integrated into the farming experience. This has shifted farmers from not only being previously stewards of the land and ensuring safe products from the land and a sort of long-term sustainability of the land itself to produce food, into stewards of data as well, because as we know that data now has a monetary value, this has become to shift and change the decision making made by farmers, and change their behaviors in an attempt to create not only the most valuable products, but also the most valuable data outputs. Individualism is an entirely different concept in the future. And this is because the mind, body, and environment are more linked than we have ever seen them before. Through the use of neural networks and decoding, realities have become shaped and reshaped and are tuned to a person's experiences. Therefore, people, individuals, and consumers exhibit new decision-making processes as the two fault lines of the self have come to the surface and have become merged. Direct and indirect markers will be available to interpret the wide breadth of biological information, circling in on the communicative capacities and inherent intelligence of our biological selves. Plants and animals also take on a new meaning in the biointelligent data future. Imagine 2 avenues. One where we see these elements as sentient and bioresponsive and included in decision-making processes, and another as utilitarian sources for the extraction of information and valuable biological insights. Regardless of the avenue, the depth and value of the information collected from the natural environment will be unparalleled and will open new horizons for the understanding and for the reasoning of ourselves within our built environments. Finally, we explore the concept of communication, values, and decision-making. Imagining the new breadth of information available, coming in from all avenues of the environment, values related to food, health, and the environment are expected to become quite complex and involved. While some continue to subscribe primarily to traditional decision-making and communication, others lean heavily on the biological, placing their own bodies in the driver's seat. This element looks at how human behaviors are expected to change in the biointelligent data future. Great, and that brings the scenario biointelligent future and biointelligent data to a close. I hope it was interesting. Thank you for listening to the presentation. And I've included my contact information, sanjashikopari@gmail.com, as well as my email for any further calls for collaboration or any interest in receiving more detailed information on the scenario, and discussing the topics further. Thank you very much. Bye.